All right, y'all. So on 16, they want us to graph the function. So let me write this problem down. And I'll probably graph this on my calculator and show you how to set that window up. So negative x times x plus 2 squared times x minus 4 squared. So what I want y'all to notice is on these graphs, notice the x's go from -6 to +6, and the y values have a low of -240 up to a +240. So if you want your graph to look just like their pictures, I'm going to show you how to set your window. All right, so I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to go to y equals, I'm going to put in the equation first. So I have negative x, and then parentheses, x plus 2 squared, and then parentheses, x minus 4 and squared. All right, so to set the window like they had, you hit the window button, and the x minimum should be -6. So punch in -6 and enter. The x max would be a +6, enter. Then you want to arrow down to the y minimum and make that a -240, enter. And then y max was a +240. All right, so once I've got my window set like they have on their answers, I'm going to hit graph. Notice mine comes down, touches that -2, sort of goes up a little, then comes to 0 and goes up to the right before finally going down. So looks like it's touching over here at 4 before it goes back down. So I'm just looking for one picture that looks like that. So let's go back. And y'all, looks like this A here. So let me zoom them all up real quick. So mine looks like A. If you look at it, it touched at that -2, then went down through, comes back up and touches at 4 before it goes back down. And it goes downhill left to right. So let's go with A, and then we click next. All right, so let me write this one down. So 17, find the vertical asymptotes. They're giving us f of x equals x squared plus 4x minus 21 all over x squared minus 3x minus 18. All right, so we got our possible answers. Now, throw away C because C has y values. Vertical asymptotes have x values, okay? So let's go work that real quick. All right, so to find vertical asymptote, you take the bottom, set it equal to 0. All right, then you got to do a little factoring on this. So we got an x squared, that's an x and an x. That last sign is negative, so that means one of these is positive, one is negative. All right, y'all, factors is 18. That'll give me 3, would be 6 and 3. 6 is larger, so it's negative like the middle. And then our 3 is positive. So now to get the actual asymptotes, set both of these equal to 0 and solve. So I solved the first one by subtracting 3. I get x equals -3. Second one, I add 6. And I get x is a +6. So our vertical asymptotes will be x equals -3, comma, x equals 6. All right, so let's go look for that answer on our test here. All right, so we had -3, 6. So we would definitely go with A. Notice B has the signs backwards. C, they put Y's. And D, they only put one answer. Okay, so that's what's happening on that. All righty, so let's see, we go next. To 18. All right, so this is another one I'm going to work by hand. So f of x is equal to what? Negative 2x plus 2. G of x equals 4x squared minus 4x minus 5. They want me to find G compose f of a negative 2. All right, so I'm going to go work this by hand. So remember, this is like G of f of negative 2. So we take the negative 2, put it into the f equation first. So that means you're really going to be finding f of that negative 2. So we're going to put a negative 2 in for the x. So we got negative 2 times negative 2 plus 2. So it still looks like negative 2x plus 2, except now our x is at negative 2. So let's multiply first. So negative times negative makes that a positive 4 plus that 2, which gives me 6. So since f of negative 2 equals 6, we put the 6 now into the G equation. So that means we're finding G of 6. So we write the G equation and put a 6 in for both x's. So we got 4 times 6 squared minus 4 times 6 minus 5. So at that point, you can work this by hand or by calculator. If you work it by hand, you got to square the 6 first. So 6 squared is 36. And then multiply that 36 by the 4, bring that down. Multiply the 4 and 6, and then bring down to 5. So on our calculator, I'm just going to punch that in on it. So I got 4 times parentheses 6 squared minus 4 times parentheses 6 minus 5. All right, y'all. So we hit enter, and hopefully we got 115 on that answer blank. If you wanted to do it by hand, let me go back to that pad. So by hand, you got 4 times 6 squared minus 4 times 6 minus 5. First thing you do is that exponent. So that gives you 4. 6 times 6 is 36. Then I would multiply. So let's see. So 4 times 36 is 144. Minus 4 times 6 is 24. Minus 5. All right, so let's see. 144 minus 24 is 120. 120 minus 5 is 115. So y'all, either way you do that, you're going to get that 115, okay? So let's make sure that's on that answer blank. Yeah, so 115 is showing to be B. Click that and hit next. All right, now 19 is the same as 18, except they're not giving me a number to put in. They're just putting x's here. So y'all, f of x is going to equal 4x squared plus 5x plus 6. G of x equals 5x minus 3. They want me to find G compose f of an x. All right, so I got my problem wrote down. So let's see, we'll go to our pad. So what you do on this one, remember this is like G of f of x, but since they didn't give me a number for f to put in, I take this whole f equation and put into the G. So that means you're going to take your whole F equation and replace that 1x with that. Okay, so G compose F of X will equal 5 times X, which is 4x squared, plus 5x, plus 6, and then minus 3. So we still got a 5x minus 3, except our x is a little bigger now. So y'all, to do this one, you're going to distribute the 5 through the parentheses. So that's going to give you 20x squared. 5 times 5 gives me 25x. 5 times 6 gives me 30. And at the end is a minus 3. All right, so would y'all go further on that? Well, how about, is there anything else I would do to that? So 30. Yeah, so you got the like terms right there. So add those like terms. So you get 20x squared plus 25x. And then that was what? Positive 27. So let's go see if we got that answer in our choices. So what was that? 20x squared, 25x plus 27 would be C. So we click that and move on to the next. All right, f of x equals 5x minus 7. Determine if it's 1-to-1. Find the formula for its inverse. Listen, do not choose not 1-to-1. Everybody's test will be 1-to-1. So you cannot choose A at all on this problem. So we're going to go work this. So finding the inverse, that's where I replace the f of x with a y, and I get y equals 5x minus 7. Then I switch x and y. So when I switch them, I get x equals 5y minus 7. So now that I switched them, I'm going to solve for the y. So y'all, to solve for y, we're going to add 7 to both sides. So we'll get x plus 7 equals 5y. Now to make that a 1y, we divide both sides by 5. So those cancel. Let's see, cannot do nothing over here, so that's going to stay x plus 7 over 5. And remember what they do now, instead of putting the y for the answer, they use the f inverse, which is the f negative 1 of x. All we're looking for is the x plus 7 over 5. So notice these inverses, they got the opposite operation. So subtraction became addition. And then it's got the opposite. This was multiplying. This one is divided. So it's always got sort of the opposite moves on those. Y'all, we would go back, look for x plus 7 divided by 5, which would be D. And then moving on. All right, so let me write this down. F of x equals 5 to the x minus 2. All righty, so I'll probably just go graph this on my calculator. So I'm going to share our calculator with us. Go to y equals and clear out the old one. Now remember, when I graph this, I'm going to set my window back. Okay, so let me put in the equation 5 exponent x minus 2. Now, if you got the old calculator, let me show you what it's going to do. On the old calculators, when you put in your 5 and you do the exponent, it's going to put the exponent, the caret symbol with parentheses. You got to put the x minus 2 in parentheses and close them. So this is for the older calculators, okay? The newer ones, it makes those exponents for us, so we don't have to do the parentheses. All right, so I got that in. Now, to get the calculator back to a 10 by 10, you hit zoom, and number 6 is standard. So go to standard, that's going to put the standard 10 by 10 back. When I hit enter, I get my graph. All righty, so we want a picture. It looks like it's coming through and going uphill to the right. So I would hit share. Let's go back to the. So y'all, the only one that's going uphill to the right where I needed it looks like A. Ooh, but let me zoom these in real quick. Let me see what's happening there. So A, I can't tell. It looks like it's going through the 0. C is going through the 1. So you see how they got this 6 by 6s on here? I'm going to actually fix my window real quick on this calculator and do those 6s and 6s. So I'm going to have -6, enter, +6. Then I'm going to go down and do -6 on the y's, +6. I just want mine to match theirs. So since they're going by 6s, I'm going to hit 6s and graph. And y'all look at it, it's barely going right across that x-axis. So it looks like it's got to be A on that one, right? So see, A is really close to what we needed. So we would pick A and then move on. All right, let me write this one down. 4 to the 3rd equals 64. So all they want us to do is convert this into a logarithmic equation. So to convert it to the log, I write log. The base is the 4, so that little 4. Result is the 64. That's going to equal my exponent of 3. So log base 4 of 64 equals 3. We'll go back, look for that. So let's see, they're backwards. So 3 equals log base 4 of 64. I would use B. But be careful, the other ones, they just move stuff around trying to trick you, okay? All right, y'all, we check on that. All right, this is probably one of the longer ones. Log base B of m to the 4, p to the 6 over n squared b to the 9. All right, so this one we actually got to work by hand. So remember, when I rewrite it, if it's on top, it's going to be positive, and the stuff on the bottom will be sort of subtracted. So distribute log b to all 4 of these. So you got log base b of m4 plus log base b of p to the 6. These two factors were on top, so they're both positive when you rewrite it. And then it'll be minus log b of n squared minus log b of b to the 9. All right, remember at this point, the only thing I got to do is bring exponents down. And you're actually only going to bring the exponents on 3 of these. So do you remember what this log base b of b to the 9th, what will that equal in the long run? Oh, and we're quick on that. That's definitely a 9. So that equals 9. So I'll just replace that with a 9 when we're done. So we'll bring down to 4. 4 log b of m plus bring down to 6 log b of p minus the 2 log b of n minus 9. Now y'all be careful because they'll have one where they got the 9 log b of b. But remember, that's not simplified enough, so that one would be wrong. So let's go see if we can find what we got on their answers. So it can only be A and B because they got the 9s right being subtracted. D, they put everything right except for they made a positive 9. And y'all be careful of A. Y'all see they got a multiplying in between the M and the 6. They got division in between the P and the 2. So remember, they got the wrong operations on that. So the only one that matches ours would be B. 4 log B of M plus 6 log B of P minus 2 log B of N minus our 9. So the only one we can pick would be B and move on. All right, y'all. So this one is sort of a formula that came out of 9.7 when we was doing the growth and decay stuff. Instead of using P's on here, they're using a B to represent books. So they got B equals 2,700 times E to the 0.02 T. So then it says, hey, how many books will the library have after 6 years? So all we got to do is run this formula and put a 6 in for that T. Okay, so let's see. So in my calculator, I would put 2,700 E to the 0.02 times, how many years did I say? 6. And put a 6 there. Now let me make sure that's what I needed. So yeah, after 6 years. Now, if you got the old calculator on this problem, you'll put 2,700 E. It's going to give you that little caret for the exponent. You got to put your 0.2 times 6 in your parentheses and close them. But y'all like, I'll do this on the new one to show you. All right, so 2,700. So the E with the exponent that I hit would be second ln. You see that little blue E with the X? And then I would do 0.02 times 6. Okay, so when we hit enter, we're rounding to the nearest book. So we're going to round it off without any decimals. So y'all, let's see, I got 3,044.2. So since that's a 2, I'll leave the last 4 alone. So I get 3,044. So rounded to the nearest book. So let's go find that answer. So what do we say? 3,044. So we would go D and then check our next one. All right, y'all. So this one says solve. So I got 3 to the 10 minus 2x equals 9. All right, so I'm just going to work it by hand real quick. But the trick for y'all on y'all's number 25 here is to rewrite the number using the other side as its base. So I'm going to rewrite the 9 using a base of 3. So I would bring down that 3 times 10 minus 2x. So if I rewrote that 3 or the 9 using a base of 3, I got to figure out how many times I multiply 3 times itself to make 9. Well, that would be twice. So 3 times 3 is 9. So on this one, it only took me 3 to the second. So your goal is going to be taking this number and rewriting it as that base. Because at this point, the bases match. So since these bases match, that means the exponents are equal. So 10 minus 2x has to equal 2. And y'all, at this point, we're just going to solve this. So we would solve by moving the 10 by subtracting. So negative 2x will equal, let's see, 2 minus 10 is negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 2. Well, that cancels. X equals, negatives cancel. So 8 divided by 2 would give me a positive 4. And the trick on this, watch out for these signs on here, okay? So we would go back, look for a 4. It looks like A is a positive 4. So I'll click that. Oh, so that was the last one, it looks like. So let's see. Yeah, that's number 25. So that's the last one, y'all. So let me go back to my main screen. All right, so what I'll do, I sent out part 1 last Wednesday that went through 1 through 15. This part goes from 16 to 25. So at this point, we want to see if y'all have any questions on this. All right, y'all. So remember, I'm going to stop that recording so I can send it later.